Welcome to the Safe Wheel live stream where I share my account on 3 accounts and I share my proprietary Safe Wheel options trade system for free here. All right, first things, I want to make sure I get a little bit of feedback, make sure you guys can hear me okay. Please type in the chat that you can hear me okay. If not, I'll have to fix my audio, but typically it works pretty well, but sometimes my audio doesn't work, so I want to make sure I get that feedback there. Also, be sure to, you can hear me well, Charles, thank you guys, appreciate that. Be sure to post any questions that you might have. The earlier the better, because I know there's probably like a 5-second delay. So if you guys post those questions now or before I end the broadcast, I can get to those questions. Okay, so let's get down to what's going on. Look at my earnings edge account, 7,800. All right, so obviously something happened, and I'm happy to share the losses with you. Obviously, because my account was at $9,300 last week. So what happened? I traded Tesla and took a $1,179 loss. So what happened? Tesla was looking good for a while. After a day or so, it was up like $600. But I want to hold for the big wins, so I held it. And by the time I got out, it was minus 1,100 bucks, 1,200 bucks. Tesla has been kind of my nemesis. You can see here, record 34, 22, and 9. And since I did my last update on the program, 14, 15, and 6, so about a 50% win rate. Average win 945, average loss almost $600. Let me update that. My 78.23. So I went from 9,300 to 78.23. And what is the SPY trading? 435.03. It was up pretty good this for in a week. Ooh, so the EE is actually down this year after that one trade. And you've got the 13.75% on the SPY, which is the S&P 500. But you can see overall up 56% with the earnings edge because I had a really good 2022. And the S&P, and since the end of 2021, the S&P is down 8.4%. Okay, so yeah, nice. Well, not nice loss. Here you can see Tesla right here. I think I took another loss on Tesla, probably for around 800 bucks or something like that. So Tesla's been my worst performer. Of course, Microsoft being my best. Okay, so that is the earnings edge. Make sure you guys, if you have any questions about that or anything, post those questions here. Let's get to the Premier level 5. Okay. Premier level 5, you can see we got 36,363 in the account. Net liquidation. Who else shows their net liquidation? Not too many people, and they haven't been doing it for very long if they've been doing it. 36,313. Oh, so we come up pretty good over the last week. You can see the PO5. I started on April 8th. I didn't begin in the beginning of 2022 because I hadn't really honed it down and done all the back tests and everything until I wasn't able to start it until early April. Did 12.2. The S&P was down 6.3. This year, you can see my performance as on a return basis is about half the S&P 500, but you have to remember my drawdowns are about 1/4 the S&P 500. So even on a risk-adjusted return, outperforming this year and outperforming overall at 21% versus 6.49. So the S&P is up since April of 2022, but it's not up since January of 2022. Okay, so you see that is the results. Oh, how many? We got 22 wins, 8 losses, 8 break evens, and 3 open trades right now with the Premier level 5. Trading it live, of course. And you can see the results here. Started this account with $30,000. All right, so that's the Premier level 5. Let's look at the safe wheel. I haven't even looked at it. I don't even know what it's going to look like. Just this one here. No, this account here. Trading DKNG. It looks like I own 100 shares. I remember my cost basis because I wrote it down here at $30.50. It's trading at $29.38. So if I sold a covered call there, obviously I did not get called away. So that's the first thing I kind of noticed is like, how many shares do I own? Usually I don't own shares. I've owned these for quite a while. And then the next thing I look at is to make sure this is my calls in place, which it is because I placed that trade last Friday. And now I look at my put hedge. Question for the put hedge. Is it under 100 days? No. So that's good. It's not depreciating too fast. And then is the strike price 30? Is it close enough within 75% of the actual price of the underlying? It's actually in the money. So it's well within 75%. So I'm not going to do anything with a put hedge. I'm going to trade at this point, more of the traditional wheel based on these 100 shares that I own at $30.50. So last week, I sold a put to start a second tier, and that put did not get assigned. So I just kept the premium. Let's see if I can sell a covered call here against these 100 shares. That would be my goal, first goal. And I want to do it in the nearest expiration cycle. Make sure I have DKNG in here. That's my underlying. And $30.50. Got my calls over here, my puts over here. So I'm looking at my calls, $30.50. Oh, that's so close. 28 bucks. I mean, I think I'm going to take that. I am going to actually sell. It's so close. I mean, I want to get $30. I might get 28. I mean, that's close enough for me, a couple bucks. I'm going to sell the covered call here. Might get 29. $30.50. Okay, got it. Okay, so I got my $30. I mean, it was very, very close, but I got my $30.
Marketing gimmicks. Let's go.
Okay, I don't know why that happened. All right. So, sold my covered call here. That's good. I haven't been able to sell a covered call for a couple weeks, and I had to start tier 2 and sell a put, but those puts never got assigned. And so I've been with these 100 shares. We'll see if I can get called away from these. I would obviously prefer to sell something higher than the actual assigned price of $30.50. But if I can get my premium at $30.50, I'll take it. That's what I did. So that worked out pretty good. Able to sell a covered call there. So that's all I need to do for the safe wheel. So let's get into any questions you might have. Okay, guys, you're telling me you can hear me okay? Tron, let's see. Tron says, I hate it when a stock closes on Friday right at my strike price and I don't get a sign. It happened on Friday. Oh, yeah, but you got to keep all that premium, right, when you sold the put? So that's probably, I'm not sure where I sold it last week. Maybe the same thing happened to me, where I was right at that strike price that I sold and did not get assigned. But I'm okay with that. Carl, earnings edge question. Could you clarify the definition of a tranche? On the earnings edge, the tranche. I don't really use the word tranche with the earnings edge. I usually use a percentage of my buying power. You might be thinking about the Premier Level 5 when I talk about one tranche. So a tranche could be, let me think about a good way to explain that. A tranche really is just a set of something. Like if you had apples and you had a bunch of baskets. You had 10 baskets of apples, and each basket had 10 apples in it. You could say one basket would be one tranche. It's kind of just a little divider, a little holder. It's like a definition of a certain amount of positions. So if you have typically the way that I do a tranche is when I have a single ticket order, an order that I can place as one order, I typically will make that a tranche. But there could be two tranches. So let's say that I normally trade like a butterfly, like a 1-2-1. So one long, two shorts, one long. So the 1-2-1 would be one tranche. But what if I wanted to trade two of those? Then it would be a 2-4-2. That would be two tranches. Or 8 of those. 8-16-8. That would be 8 tranches. So one tranche would be kind of the lowest common denominator. Okay. Some guy. Hi, all. LRCX was the play last week. Tesla didn't seem to provide good results for the earnings edge. I was wondering to what extent we should factor in historical results. I had that question, and I don't think historical results have anything to do with how the earnings edge is going to play out, because the earnings edge kind of relies on a move that is a little bit unexpected, and you don't know when that particular situation is going to occur. So, for example, with Microsoft, I was holding Microsoft in the earnings edge, and some type of announcement came out about Microsoft that was a little bit unexpected, and that blew up Microsoft, and made it move relatively big compared to what it was expected, and made a good chunk of change. So Tesla just did not have any kind of unexpected move. The market didn't do anything unexpected. Nothing really happened, and Tesla, it depreciated, and there was a loss there. It was actually larger than my average, much larger than my average loss. Tesla seems to have a little more depreciation than the others, so you do have a point there, but Tesla probably has a lot of potential too. So when you hit that one, you're probably going to hit it pretty big. I'm probably going to, maybe I'm just going to size down when I go with Tesla again. Considering the larger losses than normal, I might just size it down. But it's kind of a little bit going out of the realm of the rules. So it's hard for me to make that kind of a judgment call right there. It's kind of a judgment call, and rather than going by the black and white rules, I don't like doing that. Marcelo, Safe Wheel, question: DKNG is approaching earnings. Does that have any impact on the Safe Wheel strategy? Actually, it actually has a good impact, because I'm kind of, I wouldn't say stuck, but I mean, I'm in a situation where I'm trading the wheel, and I was able to sell a covered call today. But you can get to a point where you're not able to sell a covered call, and you're kind of like, man, I need this thing to move. I need it to move up so I can sell a covered call, or I need it to move down so my put hedge will get me out of the trade and make money for me, and I can make money on the downside. But if I'm kind of stuck in the middle, where I want it to move up and I want it to move down, and I'm kind of in that no man's land, earnings are a great thing. I really like earnings. And plus, I can also sell a lot of premium going into earnings, which is also very helpful. Maybe that's why I was able to get enough premium to sell at the 30-50 call, because we're going into earnings, and that's good. I like going into earnings. It makes the stock move. I like the stock to move up or down. Typically, if you're running that traditional wheel, you don't like earnings, because earnings could take the stock down, and you're very directional with that traditional wheel. So you don't really want to be in earnings in a traditional wheel, because you're not protected to the downside. You forgot to update your safe wheel in your spreadsheet. Oh, okay. Good. Thanks for letting me know that. What are we at? 6609. So we're up a little bit. 6609. Okay. So we can see we're okay with the safe wheel. As far as the update, the drawdowns are very similar to the S&P 500. So if I'm underperforming, I'm underperforming. So this year, on a return basis, if I'm at 8.5 versus almost 14% for the S&P, so I am underperforming because the volatility of this account is very similar to the S&P. So, but overall, of course, vastly outperformed in 2022 by about 40%. So you can see I'm still up 32% since I opened this thing, and where the S&P is down about 8.5. So outperforming since the beginning of 2022 when I actually started trading this live right in front of you. Well, not trading the actual trade, but showing the results live every week. But thanks for letting me know that I forgot to show you guys that. So you can see underperforming this year a little bit, but still vastly outperforming. I'd rather, underperform a little bit in this year, but vastly outperform when the market goes down. So that way you can vastly outperform overall. That's how the Premier Level 5 works also. All right, thanks for that, Richard. Peter, how many weeks did you have to turn the safe wheel before you got out of the bigger cost? How many weeks did you have to turn the safe wheel? Turning the wheel, huh? Before you got out of the cost of the put hedge. Oh, like it just depends. I haven't really ran any numbers on that. I mean, I'm constantly selling premium, and that pretty much, not every single time, but most of the time outweighs the depreciation of the put hedge. I think that's your question. So most of the time, but really where the money's made is when I get assigned, and then I write a covered call out of the further out higher than my assigned price and get assigned and called away. That's kind of where the money's made in the system. But as I'm selling premium and the put hedge is depreciating, I wouldn't say I'm breaking even. I'd say I'm still coming out ahead a little bit. Will, we're kind of in a weird spot where the 3 put hedge is losing a lot more than our 100 shares. I wonder if it has to do with the earnings in 2 weeks. I like looking at the risk graph. I know you don't. Yeah, I don't really pay attention to the risk graph with this particular program. It's all based on percentages, and it's a quantitative strategy, of course. Well, the put hedge, see, because of weighted beta, the put hedge is not going to appreciate as fast going into earnings because it's 123 days old. So the earnings have much, much less of an effect on those 3 longs. And also, if you got 3 puts and you've got only 100 shares long, the 3 puts are gonna outweigh that. But I mean, you can see here down 77 bucks today. What are we doing here? We're up 100. Yeah, so the put hedge right here is outweighing the owning 100 shares. In other words, it's becoming more impactful when the DKNG is going up. It's kind of having more of a negative impact. I guess we can look at the risk graphs. Let me see if I can get that up here. I think I have everything checked off. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, so you can see there's a lot of, what is this, negative delta, it looks like. Let's see here. Delta, yeah, I got minus 56 delta, so what are we trading? 29.61. So right in here. Yeah, you can see we got quite a bit of negative delta here. But you can also see that we have, even if you go up, we're still profitable, no matter no matter what. But that doesn't take into account all the past premium that I've sold. So that's one of the reasons I don't like the risk graphs, because it doesn't take into account the past. I'd have to use Option and Explorer for all that, and I'm not going to get all sophisticated with it. It's a pretty simple system, I think. Anthony, does the safe wheel typically lose money when the underlying moves up? No, not typically. It's happening this time because I have a in the money put hedge, which is this is the first time I've ever had a put hedge in the money. DKNG has been moving up since I opened the trade on September 25th, so my put hedge is losing more than the premium. Yeah, which is not normal, not normal. But it happens. And I would have used the 2750 put hedge, but it wasn't available. So I had to go to the 30. Well, if we had a second tranche, 200 stocks going up would be profit. Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, if we had another, if I got assigned last week and I had 200 shares, I'm sure that would outweigh the losses on the put hedge. But that's why I have this long call here in case, you know, something crazy happens and we go up too high. We got another 100 shares right there. It's about timing, he says. Okay. Feels like fishing where you're not really losing or winning much, but at the same point, the stars align and you get the big fish at some point. Yeah, and that point is when you get assigned and then you sell a covered call out of the money or out of further out from your assigned price, and then you get assigned and then you get called away. You can see that's happened. I mean, you know, up $600 on a, you know, $6,500 account. So you can see that obviously that scenario happens, and that's kind of where the money is made. This year, our big fish was April 26th through May 5th. Okay, cool. That's good to know. I didn't know that. I don't really pay attention to that. I just trade the system. But that's cool that you know that. All right. Alex. Hey, Carl, I need to roll my put hedge since it's just 100 days, but there isn't an expiration in your DTE range from your class. Okay, what is my DTE range? Closest to 150, but at least 130. Let's take a look here. Closest to 150. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, at this point, I would probably go with the 123. Take what you can get there. 80% of the 29.60. So what is that? 8 times 3, $24. Let's see what's available. Maybe the 25. Probably the 25. Oh, look at all these strikes available now. They weren't available when I got in. Yeah, you might just have to come in around this 24 or 25. Put here at the 123, and then you're just going to have this thing on for about 20 days. Eventually, there should something come in to the 150 range, or there usually was something available at the 150 range. They might create another expiration cycle here. Well, besides comparing the safe wheel gains to the market, have you or anyone compared DKNG gains to the wheel? I don't know. From what time frame? Let's take a look. If you got in on, well, that was trading around 27.50 when we started trading the wheel, the safe wheel, and it's around 29.50, so it's up a couple bucks. Probably not. Probably it depends on how many shares you're going to buy and all that kind of stuff. But probably not doing as well as the wheel. I wouldn't think it would. You never know. But if it went down, it definitely would not. Richard, what would be the capital requirements and rules change to do the safe wheel on a more expensive stock? Well, I haven't back tested it on anything, but I mean, if you wanted to do a stock that was at $60, I'd have to redo the numbers. You might put, you know, with $5,000 in capital, you might need $10,000 in capital to trade. So if you had a $60 stock instead of a $30 stock, you probably have to trade with $10,000 minimum capital and do one contract plus 3 put hedges for every $10,000, right? Or if you did a $90 stock, you'd have to have $15,000, that kind of a thing. But you got to back test that. It's not back tested. Those numbers aren't anything that I'm suggesting, only just an idea, because I haven't back tested that or forward tested it. John, is it worth purchasing a long call when we own 100 shares? There's been a lot of debate about that. Will probably might have a different opinion. Sometimes he doesn't like to do that. But I just want to keep the system mechanical and the rules exact, the same, and repeatable, do the same thing over and over. And so that is the main reason why I still buy that long call, even if I'm long 200 shares. Will says, yes, especially when you're selling a call for the 100. I like to look to buying the $5 put if we have 200 shares instead. The system requires a $5 call, right? So you can tweak the rules in the way that you like once you understand them really well. And he'd rather own a long $5 put when he's long 200 shares than buying another call. So I hope that answered your question. Okay, I don't see any more questions. All right, so I'm going to make my way. I always like to say in parting, I appreciate you guys, and if the P&L is not real, what else are they trying to conceal? I'll be back next week. We'll see you then.